Well, my friend, are you ready to do me the service?
Yes. What do you want me to do?
I want you to use all your powers and all your skills. I don't want his mother to see him this way. Look how they massacred my boy.
Yo, what's up guys, it's Toby from MasterBok Show and I hope you're having an amazing day. I'm just gonna be talking to you about the bug fixes and the patch that was released a few days ago for Baldur's Gate 3. If you don't know guys, there's actually a patch that is patch number 1 for Baldur's Gate 3 that went live a few days ago. I was supposed to cover it yesterday, but unfortunately I was quite busy with personal life and I couldn't do it. But now I'm gonna be running through the most interesting bug fixes for the game. This is gonna be non-spoiler and we're just gonna be talking about the balance fixes, UIs, character nerfs and buffs for the classes, as well as new skills that they added. If ever it's going to be part of the story, I'm not going to be discussing about that because it's actually a really beefy patch. It addresses around 1,000 bugs from balancing, flow issues, character balances, VFX, sound effects, storyline, flow, those sort of stuff. So without further ado, let's get into it. First up is the balance fixes. You can no longer have multiple mage hand active at the same time, meaning that there's actually an exploit in the game. I don't know if you guys have tried it before, but you can actually summon 4 mage hands at the same time, and each of your character has mage hands. So you can just imagine how ridiculous that is, shoving people to make them prone or just pushing them off cliffs using mage hand, which is pretty OP. I think that is actually a fix. I like that. Next up is the shield reaction can no longer be used while silenced. This is actually a nerf for me because shield saved me a couple of times, especially even if I'm silenced. You can still proc this before, and now they nerfed it or fixed it for some reason. Another feature in the balance is that they added a spell to Bard's magical secret feature, which is the Banishing Smite, Animate Dead, Crusader Mantle, Hunger of Hadar, Revivify, Sleet Storm, Rage Enfeeblement, Web, Entanglement, Hunter's Mark, Sanctuary, Thunder Smite, Bone Chill, Eldritch Morphic Blast, Firebolt, Ray of Frost, and Sacred Flame. So I really like here is the Hunger of Hadar, which is a really nice skill to have because it's an AoE spell. It's nice. You can actually try that out guys if ever you're playing a Warlock and get that spell, as well as Hunter's Mark. Sanctuary is nice for you to set something up, but Hunger of Hadar is a really cool thing to have. Next up is a Warlock pack of chain summons. Now get you their extra attack more than once. So moving on, fixing issues in multiple roles. If you walk along the edge of a cone of vision, you'll experience this a lot. Whenever a character of mine or a character jumps into a cone of vision, there's a lot of rolls happening whenever you try to move, or even if your character just stays still, especially if you have a sneaky character like one of my sneaky archers. Now they fixed that issue, which is really nice. Next up is if you make successful saving throw against poison, you will now gain immunity for that specific poison for 2 turns. Again, this is the same issue with sneaking or getting into the cone of vision. There's a lot of dice rolls happening. Now you're gonna be having immunity for 2 turns while you have a successful throw for poison, which is nice. Finally, for the balance section, enable trespass warning for any additional characters that trespass after first instead of immediately triggering combat. This is because whenever you try to sneak into a door or NPC is behind the door, automatically it's going to be triggering a battle, especially if you're not allowed to go to that room. And now they put a feature of trespass warning so that it gives you some heads up that you're going to be going into a battle soon if you trespass through that area. For the visuals, there's just one that caught my eye, especially that I main tiefling for one of my paladins. which is the fix the leather helmet, metal helmet, and helmet of smiting. It's pretty ridiculous to see that your helmet of smiting is floating above your head. Now they fixed that issue. Now we're moving into combat and balance, and we're gonna be starting off. Made sure certain bushes in the wilderness and swamp in Act 1 don't block projectiles during combat. I don't know about you guys if you experienced this, but I experienced this a lot. Especially I have ranged character such as my sneaky rogue. You can't shoot through the bushes, so you need to move for you to shoot down the enemies. Now they fixed that, which is a really nice update and the fix. Next up is the flaming sphere having opportunity attack. Up next is fixed sneak attack reaction, not working in melee finesse weapons if not equipped. For all the skirmisher build out there, I hope this is helpful to you guys. This fix is one of the things that caught my eye as well, is NPCs are most less likely to attack spiritual weapons, and a fixed spiritual weapon in spiritual guardian receiving a 2-hit bonus in tactician mode, which is pretty interesting because some people really exploit the spirit weapon summon. So if you don't know, guys, if you summon a spirit weapon, enemies really hate spirit weapons, so they try to really attack that spirit weapon. Most of people who use spirit weapons exploit this and try to kite away enemies, and as well as it's actually quite beefy, and now they nerfed that. I think it's a fix because it's quite OP for the spirit weapon. Next up is lay of hands. Healing amount now correctly scales with class level rather than overall character level. If you don't know, guys, lay on hands is the most OP healing spell in the game. Before, it actually scales with your character level, so whenever your character level goes up, the more the lay of hands is. Now they nerfed it and it's now just scales up to your paladin level. Alright, up next is the mimic. They actually fixed a bug whereas the mimic cannot attack whenever you attack from afar. Now they fixed it that mimics will now react to being attacked, so a lot of people are exploiting this previously because you just need a ranger to keep attacking it without it doing anything. So you have free XP and as well as the item that the mimic has. And finally, the owl bear wild shape, it will no longer lose its rage on level 8. Now we're moving into the action and condition. Dragonborn breath attack now scales with your character level and uses constitution as its saving throw. This is really interesting because dragonborn weapons before it scales with proficiencies and has just a base damage that it can dish out. Now it's more powerful. Next up is fixed pommel strike, being able to knock out characters that are immune to being knocked out. I'm actually guilty of this. I exploited this mechanic a lot. I use pommel strike on them to make them prone, which is a nerf for me, honestly. Fixed save games where you cannot talk to any or certain NPCs after the silence or garrote spell were used. So I experienced this, especially if somebody or the enemy tries to silence you and after you finish the fight, your character apparently stays there standing while awkwardly looking at each other. They finally fixed this bug there, which is pretty nice. Next is they fixed the Cloud of Dagger spell because sometimes it is not considered a hostile action and does not start combat. I'm actually quite guilty of this myself. I try to use Cloud of Daggers on the opponent, especially when I'm sneaking. If ever I have a sneaky character that enemies can't detect, I just use Cloud of Daggers and then they just die because Cloud of Daggers is a continuous spell and it gives continuous damage for as long as somebody is staying in that cloud. And finally, they fixed Stone Skin, which grant resistance to magical damage. It should now only provide resistances only to non-magical damage. So it's actually a nerf, or in the previous version of the game, you can actually use Bark Skin and you get both physical and magical damage resistance. For gameplay features that are really notable for me are the highlighted ones, which are you can no longer use Dimension Door on creatures that are grounded. Fixed character floating or squatting when they become visible, for example, after cinematic dialogues. I actually experience this a lot, especially when I'm using a sneaky character. When somebody or a character or an enemy is able to see me or detect me, they start a conversation. There's actually a bug that makes your character squat while talking to NPCs, which is pretty weird. I'm really happy they fixed this. One of the most important features for me that they actually fixed, they fixed Sharpshooter to not applying its penalty to offhand range attacks. Shout out to Max Frizz and Mr. Stovzor for the conversation about using crossbows, and does it apply penalty to offhand crossbows? Gentlemen, we actually have our answer. I also tested this out on a previous version of the game, and now they nerfed it. Give it plus 10 damage whenever you use your offhand crossbow. Next is characters are now able to sheathe the ever-burn blade. Thank God. Up next is fix the bugs where switching characters right before cinematic would cause the cinematic not to play. People are actually abusing this because whenever you try to approach a target or approach an enemy that's gonna be having a conversation, you can actually just switch to another character and reposition them, and to get like sneak attacks or initiatives on the opponent. Finally, fix the bug where the player character or NPC stops being affected by silent spell. They can no longer talk anymore. So this is the same as the previous fix. Whenever a silent spell is used on you, your character doesn't initiate the dialogue or just stands there awkwardly. Next is character creation and level, as well as items. Elf ears will no longer clip through helmets on the level up screen. For the items, fix the bug where adding items to the chest of mundane change the weight of the item. This is actually a really hard nerf. For people who don't know, the chest of mundane is a really nice chest in the Underdark, which changes the weight of the items that are put on it. For example, you have an armor that has 10 weight. When you put it inside the chest of mundane, it actually reduces the weight of it into around 2 or 3, and it's really nice if ever you're trying to loot all of the items in the game or all of the items that your enemies drop, and for you to sell those junk later to a vendor. The chest of mundane is a really efficient chest, but now they fixed it, or most probably the best term of it is nerfed it. And why? It's a really nice item. Why do you need to nerf that? And that's it, guys. Those are the most notable changes that I saw in the patch. I'm going to be sharing the link for the Baldur's Gate 3 official page that you can read for yourself for the updates. But if ever you have any questions for me or you like this sort of video, please comment down below. I hope I earn your subscription in the future, but if I earned it today, please consider subscribing to the channel. That's going to be helping us grow. That's it. I hope to see you soon on the next MasterBok show. Peace out. Bye, guys.